What's up, guys? I have a very special guest for you today. It's Chris from the Rewired Soul. This dude is awesome. He knows his stuff. He brings a lot of value to his audience, and I want him to bring some value to you guys. He is closing in on 11,000 subscribers. His channel's been booming as of late. I've been binge watching his stuff. It's that freaking good. So without further ado, I'm gonna invite Chris to come on here, tell you a little bit about his story and some methods that he used. Go ahead and take it away, Chris.
What's up, everybody? My name's Chris, and I am from the YouTube channel, The Rewired Soul, and I want to give a big thank you to Trey for having me as a guest on his channel. So I want to apologize publicly to Trey real quick. He actually did a guest video over on my channel about anxiety because my channel's all about mental health. You should go check out his video and my channel if you would like, but I get busy and scatterbrained and all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, oh crap. I need to make a video for Trey. So here it is. Thank you for being so patient with me, Trey. You're a great guy. But anyways, I just wanna hop on his channel real quick and share a little bit of my story about dealing with anxiety as well as addiction. So at a very young age, I was very anxious. So on the outside, I looked fine. I looked normal, if you will. I played sports, I was a triathlete. You know, I had friends, you know, I dated and all sorts of things, but inside of here, it was constantly racing. My thoughts would go a million miles a minute. I had wicked social anxiety, and I would try to play it off like I was all right, but I was losing my mind. And what ended up happening was towards the end of senior year, that's when I had my first drink. Now, I had vowed to myself that I was never going to drink or use drugs because I'm the child of an alcoholic mother. She's doing great now though. She's actually coming up on 13 years sober this November, and me and her have an amazing relationship now. But that first time I drank, I realized like my anxiety went away. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And back then too, like, I didn't know what was happening to me. I just thought that I was different. I thought I was crazy. I didn't know I had anxiety. I'd never talked to anybody. So like, if you're a young person, I highly recommend, if you can relate to this stuff, like make sure an adult knows. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your parents, like talk to a teacher or school counselor or whoever it is, because what happened to me was I started to self-medicate my anxiety with alcohol, and alcohol began to destroy my life over the next 2 or 3 years. But eventually, I found drugs, prescription pain medication. That was my drug of choice. So what I realized was, I'm like, oh, okay, these pills, they do what alcohol does for me, but it doesn't get me in as much trouble. But the situation was just as bad, if not worse, because eventually, if any of you can relate to addiction, like all I started to do was take the pills and drink at the same time. And life continued to get worse. And you know, when I was about 23, my girlfriend got pregnant with our amazing son, and like it had completely taken over my life, this addiction, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop even for my son. And you know, I came really close to dying. You know, 6 years ago, back in June, my mom got a phone call that she needs to come down to Las Vegas where I live because I was in the hospital and they didn't think I was gonna live through the night. My addiction, my self-medicating my anxiety landed me with congestive heart failure at 26 years old, and I had a 10% chance of living. So luckily my mom was sober at this time, and she helped me get clean and sober. So back on June 23rd, I actually celebrated 6 years clean and sober. But I was faced back with my original dilemma. Like, how do I manage this anxiety without alcohol or drugs? And I do this in a few different ways. One of the things was I went and saw a doctor. Now, as an addict in recovery, I cannot take narcotic substances. So medications like Xanax and Valium, those are totally off the table because I'm the type of person who will abuse those. So I ended up seeing a doctor who actually diagnosed me with a generalized anxiety disorder. And first off, like just seeing my doctor and getting a diagnosis was a huge sense of relief because there was finally a name for something that I had been dealing with. So now that I have identified the problem, now I can start finding a solution. So my doctor prescribed me a non-narcotic anti-anxiety medication called Lexapro. But what ended up happening was, like, I ended up getting tolerant of that medication. So over the next couple of years, things were getting better, but you know, the anxiety would come back and then the doctor would up my dosage. And after like the second time, I went back to the doctor and said, yo, you know, it's not helping like it used to. And my doctor was like, oh, well, that's all I can do for you because this is the maximum amount of dosage. And my addict brain, which is like, oh, we'll just take more of the medication, like it started to kick in. I'm like, no, you can't do that. You can't just abuse this medication. And what I ended up doing was I started to do a lot of work and find a bunch of other ways to manage my anxiety. That's one of the things I love about Trey. Trey's channel just has so many different ways to do this thing, and like, I really hope, you know, all of you, his subscribers, are finding different ways to manage your anxiety. For me, I found meditation, okay? My specific form of meditation that I found was mindfulness meditation. I dig mindfulness because you can do it anytime, anywhere. It's not like, you know, this whole like, you gotta sit, you know, over a valley and dress up like a monk and like go, like, you can do that. That's pretty cool, but mindfulness is, I can do it anywhere. I can do mindful breathing, right? I can do mindful listening, mindful eating, mindful communicating, mindful walking. It's really about being present, because anybody who struggles with anxiety knows our brains have an issue with freaking out about the future, things that haven't happened yet, or obsessing about things in the past that we cannot change. Mindfulness brings me back into the moment. And the goal of mindfulness isn't these like long durations of meditation sessions. It's about training your brain so you have small increments of mindfulness throughout your day. So today, I live an amazing life. Not only am I 6 years clean and sober, but my anxiety is minimal, and it's because of mindfulness. So I do continue to meditate formally, like, you know, before work or even on my lunch break, but a lot of times throughout the day, like, I can be teaching groups at the drug and alcohol rehab center I work at, and I can start focusing on my breath if I feel it start to rise, maybe when I'm hearing somebody talk, or I just start walking around and really paying attention to the way my feet are connecting to the ground and all that kind of stuff. And there's just a million different ways to do this, and I have apps on my phone, but a lot of them, you know, I've learned to just do on my own as well. And it's made my life so, so, so much better. And like, if you're out there and you haven't tried meditating yet, like, please just try it. Download a free app on your phone, do it 5 minutes a day. Over on my channel, I talk a lot about scientific studies and the neuroscience behind this stuff. And like, the only thing that sold me on meditation was that it was scientifically proven to decrease symptoms of anxiety and depression. I was like, okay, well, science proves it, I guess I'll give it a try. But anyways, that's a little bit of my experience about how self-medicating turned into addiction and all that kind of stuff, but my anxiety is at a minimum today. So if I can do it, literally anybody can do it, all right? But that's all I got. Again, thank you so much, Trey, for having me as a guest on your channel, and thank you again for practicing the beautiful quality of patience with me, all right? But anyways, all of you beautiful people watching this, if you wanna come out and check out my channel, it's all about mental health and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure Trey will put links down in the description below and everything like that. But I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.
Wow, Chris, thank you so much for sharing that, guys. He went through a lot. You know, he went through addiction, then he had to overcome his anxiety and depression, and that's very hard to do at the same time. You know, he probably thought that his addictions were actually helping him deal with anxiety and stuff, but actually in reality, it makes it worse in the long run. It just masks it, it kind of buries it. That's not what you need to do. You need to figure out the root causes of your anxiety, and Chris has done an amazing job with that, just like he's done an amazing job with his channel. Guys, I'm putting the link in the description and in the first pinned comment. Make sure you go to his channel and check out all of his videos. He is uploading consistently, persistently. He's doing a great job, so make sure you check that out. Leave him a comment and let him know that I sent you there. I'm sure he would appreciate that. Guys, what about his voice though, man? After watching that, he has a very powerful and assertive, but yet calming and powerful voice. I don't know, he should definitely think about going into radio or television or broadcasting or something. He needs to have a podcast. He has an amazing voice for this as well. So guys, again, go subscribe to his channel. You just saw how amazing his content is. You're gonna get that every single time you watch him. Thank you again, Chris, for joining, and y'all have a great one.